Ed is travelling to Blean in Kent to understand more about the scandal involving his 3 times great-grandfather, William Dunbar. He's meeting historian Professor Alana Tompkins.
Hello.
So that is the workhouse where William Dunbar was a surgeon?
That's right, yes. A lot of it survives. It's all been turned into housing now.
It all looks quite clean and modern. It felt, reading those articles, through my eyes now, in the 21st century, that this was like a deliberate, cruel cover-up. You know, what was William Dunbar doing? Why wasn't he saving people?
Ultimately, we can't be sure whether he was being cruel or merely neglectful. But essentially, the buck stops with the workhouse master,
right,
because he is in charge of this institution. The surgeon might say, well, this person needs treatment, and the workhouse master could say, no, they don't. And it wouldn't be the first time that a doctor was essentially made the scapegoat in a case like this. Everyone turns around and faces the surgeon and says, it's you're to blame. You're the one who should have noticed this.
Was he a full-time employee of the workhouse, or would this have been something he did as part of his broader surgeon's practice?
The idea was that this was part of a surgeon's practice and that you would take on private patients and do other work as well. So there might be perhaps up to 100 people in the workhouse at any one time, but don't forget there are also 4,000 living in the surrounding parishes.
4,000, which he was responsible for?
That he's responsible for when they fall sick. Your ancestor, William Dunbar, and he's running from pillar to post.
Right.
He possibly can't do all of the work that's being asked of him in a day. The number of medical suicides goes up after about 1840.
Medical suicide?
Yeah.
People just couldn't cope with the job?
They couldn't cope. I think the question of where the blame for the cruelty lies is the critical one for the Poor Law. This is 1841, which is less than a decade after the passage of the Poor Law, which says that the poor are essentially to blame. That is the tenor of the Poor Law. It casts the poor as criminals. It was structurally cruel. A few years after the experiences of Dunbar here, there was a scandal where it was found that the workhouse master in Andover in Hampshire was starving the paupers in his workhouse so badly that when he set them to work on grinding bones, which was for the production of fertiliser, they would scoop out the rotting bone meal from the inside of the bones they were supposed to be crushing to eat because they were so hungry.
I mean, it's awful. I guess my worry reading this Dickensian horror show at this workhouse is that maybe William Dunbar was part of the family, part of the cruelty, and you're saying that the jury's out, that it could be that he was just under pressure, didn't see or didn't have the power to do anything about it.
I think the jury is definitely out. I think he was trapped.
So do we know why Dunbar left being the surgeon here?
We do have some more details, but those records are in the Kent Archives in Maidstone. This is where the original documents relating to the Blean Workhouse Union are held. So if you want to have a quick look at this book here.
Right. It says Blean Union Minute Book.
Yep.
Blean Union, 11th of May, 1843. At a meeting of the Board of Guardians held this day, the governor means, that means the head of the workhouse, the master.
Mr. Bailey, the master.
Complained to the board that Mr. Dunbar, oh dear, that Mr. Dunbar has taken improper liberties with his eldest daughter, a girl of about 16 years of age. Goodness.
Well, this is the daughter of the governor, Mr. Bailey, so this is the schoolmistress of the workhouse.
Mr. Dunbar admitted that he kissed her several times, that he promised her a ring, that he pulled her about, but denied having exposed his person to her. Bloody hell.
She's been in this room on her own with him, and this has happened. What we don't know is what was involved beyond what he's admitted to.
He admits to kissing the 16-year-old girl. I mean, that's bad enough. Whether or not he went further, I mean, going further makes it worse, but it's terrible anyway. I mean, this is man in his late 40s with 8 kids who starts kissing a 16-year-old girl. You can't do that. Even, I think in 1843 you can't do that, especially in 2020 you can't.
In 1843, we're in a world where 16-year-olds might get married, much more regularly than they do today, I think. But we're also in a world where men, particularly men who regard themselves as gentlemen, who are professional people, they can behave in a certain way towards women they regard as their social inferiors.
So you're saying to me that even in 1843, this was not out of the ordinary?
I'm afraid this is a world where people treat women very differently. There's a series of cases where medical practitioners are accused of sexual assault or rape, much worse than Dunbar here. And when they go to court, those practitioners are acquitted for the most part, and they're applauded from court.
Applauded?
Yes, they're applauded from court. Even where it's clear that sex has taken place, they're applauded from court if they're acquitted. So this is a society which likes its medical practitioners to be its heroes.
I understand. I spent 3 years as the Secretary of State for Children, making the borderline decisions about teachers. And if a teacher was to kiss a 16-year-old girl, they would be banned from not only teaching, but ever working with children again. It's a roller coaster with old Mr. Dunbar for me.
Mm-hmm.
Hero, villain, reprieve, back in the dock.
Mm-hmm.
What an idiot.
So if you look at the top document in this box, you'll see what happened to Dunbar next.
I almost daren't open it. May the 18th, 1843. Gentlemen, I beg leave to resign my situation as surgeon.
He resigns. He decides not to front it out. He was in an impossible situation before this allegation in terms of his workload. I think this may have been the final straw.
Oh dear. William Dunbar's obituary is being written 170 years later,
Yes.
and it's quite a complicated one. By his great, great, great grandson. We live in a time where powerful men have taken advantage of women, often younger women. My youngest daughter's 16. There were 48-year-old men with 8 kids kissing her. And William Dunbar in 2020, that is well over the line. In the end, he's my ancestor, and it's nearly 200 years ago, and it's for the historians to say it's a different time, it's a different context. Emotionally, for me, seeing that, I react as me today. And that's why I was upset. I mean, he was an idiot. It was wrong.